Hey everybody, we're back. It's Thursday. We've got another video. I'm back in the country. I spent the last week in Venice, Italy, at the Venice Architecture Biennale. It was a great trip. Got a lot of work done. Met some new friends, saw some old friends, spent some good time, and worked very hard. So I'm about to head out of town again, but I'm trying to get a quick video in for you before I go. We're going to go through an interiors project today. I'm going to continue in my series of just walkthroughs because I've had some good feedback, and it's fun to change things up and get away from retouching videos for a little bit. So we'll start with this image. This is the first image I delivered in the set. All these images were shot with and without people. I'm going to show you some with people and some without. I don't think it's necessary to show you every single version of every single thing I shot. I tend to just deliver things with people or without people, depending on what I think is the strongest. But in some specific situations, I think it's very important for the architect to have the ability to show what the space looks like with people and without, particularly when there's a lot of materiality concerns and sometimes there's like confidentiality concerns or things like that with people that work in offices and things. So it's important to have both sometimes, and this is one of those times. So this is the first image in the set, the first image numbered. Again, I always try to have it image number 1 be the entry or the hero shot of the exterior of the building or whatever makes sense as you enter the space. Walk through the space, the last image the exit, or like a smaller detail or something like that. So I wanted to show you one thing. I'm going to go into the raws for this file. This is my pick for the the middle bracket, whatever you want to call it. And then here's my alt for one of my strobes. Right. If you look down here, I added a strobe to rake the battens, whatever you want to call this material here, this leather base of the island there, the cash wrap. That light was great. It gave me edges on all my stuff. It gave me glare angle, on the left side of each bulge there. It did create some shadow problems and things like that. So I went ahead and I had a polarizer on and some other things, and I ended up, doing a version with the strobe off, a version with the strobe on, and then I merged them together. I had another strobe off to the left as a bounce, just to kind of, define this shape back here. There was also some, natural lighting happening as well, but, those were my two lights. But, you guys have all expressed a lot of interest in light, and it's important to see, where that light came from in that image. And then I shot the blurry version without my bounce strobe and blended that in as well. So that's the first image, just sort of an elevation looking in to this. It's it's in a high-rise downtown Chicago. It's a amenity. You can go there and buy food or drinks. It's on the floor that has conference rooms and things like that on it for the different firms in the building to use. I feel like I'm a little bit tight on my edge of my crop here. I'm not sure why I didn't leave myself another couple inches. I'm sure there was some reason. I was probably backed into the wall and just couldn't get it with the lens I had and didn't want to go down to the 17. This is probably shot with a 30. So yeah, next image. So this is looking down the hall. You see this is to the left is to the elevator lobby. There's conference rooms and different things. Like there's a big kind of multi-purpose space back here that was being used that night for an event. But here, you can see what how the space is defined here with all this walnut against this white and marble exterior. Again, I had a strobe. I had there you can see exactly where my my umbrella, my low umbrella is raking here. I had a bounce back here. Those are my two lights again. A little detail here, this little seating area. We ended up doing some creative stuff back here. We had some lighting problems back in this little cubby. There was there was a light on the ceiling that was just causing a really, really bright spot here. So we covered that with a piece of black tape or black cinefoil. And then I bounced a little light into a white card up here on the left, which gave me a soft, even glow on everything there. So what I'll do is sometimes if I don't have room to set a whole umbrella, I'll take a white card, like a piece of tag board that I have gaff taped in half so it can fold easily. Sometimes I'll just set it up on the floor and punch a light into it. Sometimes I'll hang it. Sometimes I'll use it to cover an exit sign if it's causing, if it's causing glare problems from a red exit sign or green exit sign. But in this case, I just took a little piece of tape, taped it up into the ceiling, and I took a light and threw like a 20-degree grid in it or a 30-degree grid and punched and popped it right into there. So it didn't just bleed light everywhere into the shot. It just created a little soft glow, and I probably turned it down 6 stops or something. So it just a little pop to simulate the light that was in that space. Here it is again. You can see how dark it is back there, where I didn't have you can see how much nicer the light is with my strobe. I wasn't as worried about it there because it wasn't as central. I probably could have, just brushed a little mask in here and opened it up a little bit. Somebody suggested, by the way, that I move my camera to this side when I'm doing these walkthroughs so that my camera doesn't cover up the corner of the photograph. So thank you for that suggestion. That was a good one. Yeah, not a ton to say here. I kind of perched my camera up over that center island so that you get a little bit of that marble in the foreground, which gives you, again, it's always important to be able to understand where you are in this space. We see a little bit of a hint of that space here in the first shot. Again, we see it here in the second shot. We're looking into it in the third shot, looking over this smaller piece of marble, over this large piece of marble into it on the fourth shot. Fifth shot, we're looking back over that marble into the alcohol display here. Here, let me show you guys quickly. This was a what am I not? It's 5v2. Okay, so we had a couple versions of this shot too, and this is another case where I'm happy to do a second version to show the use case for this this piece. So they had these roll top desk sort of doors that rolled out of the wall and cover this up so they could if they weren't selling alcohol at the moment, or if it was time to close, they could roll this shut, and it just became part of the wall. It was very beautiful. But here we closed one half of the bottom section, and then we have the architect here. He's rolling out the door here, so it's a little in motion. It's a little blurry. So another time where I provided 2 versions, one with a person and one without a person, and one with the person activating the space a little bit. So I didn't have to really light this shot, I don't think. We may have had an umbrella from the left for this glare angle on the wood, actually, now that I'm looking at it, and I think I see a little bit of the shadow line from my umbrella right there. So yeah, just a soft, it might have been a softbox even, not an umbrella, now that I think about it. A little bit of an alternate exposure here to help with these lamps. They were a little blown out. I like them hot. I like them glowing. I don't want them to feel like they're yellow, but yeah, they're feeling good. Another shot looking back into the space. This is a very, interesting thing, right? I was hired to photograph this one space in a tower, and this is a space where we might normally make 2 pictures or maybe 3, and overall a vignette and a detail. But here we made 11 photos, or 9 of them are in this one space, and 1 or 2 are in the hall. But yeah, so it was a good challenge to really try to show the layout and the materiality and everything of this whole space in a set of images where we normally make only 2 or 3. Yeah, just paying attention to composition. These vignettes really give you a chance to play, right? Like I've got these lines, coming into the frame, going out of the frame. Everything's sort of pointing us back toward the middle, without a lot of things, swinging off and out of the frame. yeah, happy with this image. Again, maybe I should have brightened up this. It's fun to look back at these with you guys, because when you give something a few months or weeks or hours even and come back with fresh eyes, you see things that you didn't necessarily see. You know, we spent so much time staging the exact position of every one of these bottles, right? And then you forget about things like this, where, it's like maybe we should have punched a little light into here, or done something like that. It's fun to have these giant files, isn't it? To be able to zoom into, there's 100%, just like how incredible these files are. You can read the text on these soda cans. It's amazing. What a camera. Okay, so there, right next door, there was a little mother's room that was mother's room / little breakout single person workroom. So we put one of the architects in there. Actually, I think this was a model we hired. Yeah, it was a model. Just to show the scale of the room. This frame, I took an umbrella. I took an umbrella up in the, no, I don't think it was an umbrella, because I can see the glare right here in the mirror. I think I just punched it into the corner. So again, I just had a bare head with a reflector, a strobe, bounced up into the corner. You guys have also asked what strobes I use. I use Palsy Buff White Lightning X3200s. They're the biggest White Lightning strobes that Palsy Buff makes. They're pretty basic. They're pretty durable. They do break, and they're cheap enough where I just replace them and move on. It's not a big deal. So one bounce here. The bounce helped a ton. I don't know if I have an exposure without it. We can look here and see. I know this was sort of towards the end. Yeah, that's without a strobe on right there. Boom. Same exposure, 1/5 of a second, f11. You can see my strobe is essentially doing everything in this shot. So, it would have been very, if we were to color balance this thing for the correctly for 1/5, yeah. If we were to color balance this, and just how muddy this thing would have been, right? So I'm just gonna, fake a longer exposure here. But you can see we have got essentially no corner here. We've got no shape in any of this stuff. It's just significantly better, right? Like there's similar exposures, similar color temperatures. Obviously this is warmer and maybe a little greener, but it's just the strobe does everything. Look what it does to the flowers. Look what it does to the pulls on the drawers. The shape on the countertop, and the glare angles on the stone, the shape in the chair. It's not all just like, you don't see the corner here, you don't see the corner here. The strobe does everything. It does all the work. So very important. Very important. Okay, next frame. The architect wanted a couple of details showing very specific things. This, this is all storage under here. They wanted a version closed and a version open here. So, there was also this second version that we did with a person standing and opening the door there. The other frame here is just showing, we've seen the leather. Forgive me, I'm getting a phone call. We'll get back to that later. We see a similar treatment to the marble that we have in the wood, in the doors, in the leather. It's just nice to show materiality and how it's carried through the photograph, right? Or not the photograph, the space, the architecture. Here we've got just the corner detail they wanted to show. Believe it or not, sometimes architects do such a good job, they want to celebrate the things that we usually try to hide, which are like outlets and sprinkler heads and things like that. Look at this, it's beautiful, right? It's just perfect. We never would have to Photoshop an outlet out again if they look like that. Last frame here, the shot looking back, looking out. It's a little jarring to go from the details to this. Maybe I could have put this, back in the line after image number, right in here after image number 6. This might have made more sense. But I chose to do this. But it shows back out to the elevator lobby. You can even see the text elevators on the door here. Finding just the right person and the right pose for a person this close in the foreground is pretty tricky. But we made it happen. It was we had to try a couple different people and a couple different ideas, but it really balances the image. It was a lot of blank wall there, and but again, I felt it important to not just be in that secondary space. We wanted to be back far enough where we could see this cash wrap island terminate. We could see the materiality again, yeah. I felt, this was a fine image to close with. So really a lovely project. Interior architects did it. The team was out of Texas. It was a Chicago project though, so we had people from the Chicago team there. They're in the image here. Just a lovely space. This was probably I want to say we met at 3 p.m. for this one because it was on a Friday. I want to say we wanted to wait until the building was finished using it. I think we worked until 7 p.m. or something. So it was kind of just a half day, longer end of the day sort of shoot. There was no natural light. We didn't have to worry about that. It was this fall, late in the fall. I think this is a November shoot. So it was not a super heavy lift like some shoots are, but the lighting was intensive and it was important to get everything right and to get the architects what they needed. So really flattered to have worked on this one. It was a beautiful project. So thank you all for following along. I'm continuing to be on a crazy streak of work, and I'll try to keep these coming, but so far so good. Thank you all. Have a great day.